They running their mouth, then they looking for trouble. Ran right up in the knowledge, now they back in the huddle. See, they know we can fight, new content every week. Me and Dr. Clyde, keep on bringing the heat. Now they know that we driven, and they know we quitting. Yoshi and Dr. Winner, keep on bringing the energy. Unity, unity, unity. See, they know we ain't stopping, and they know they got problems, and they ran out of options. If you know we got a problem, can't let it go unsolved. Bring back learning, Afrocentric history, we see tomorrow. Karma's karma, I say what I say, I hear underwater. Till I see I fall off, then I bring y'all up on note. I'm back up on my Clyde winners, 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 Clyde winners. Divine winters, Clyde winters, mind bender, Clyde winters. I'm Richard, ride with ya, master teacher, create masters, Clyde winters. Give respect to the elder, Clyde winters. I know that somebody out there living for me. Yeah, I told you somebody out there looking for me. I think there's somebody out there looking for me. I think there's somebody out there looking for me.
We have to live on God. We have to live on God. I have not done wrong. I have not robbed. I have not stolen. I have not drank. I have not told lies. I have not stolen food. I was not stolen. I have not fornicated with the fornicator. I have not caused anyone to weep. I have not dissembled. I have not transgressed. I have not discussed secrets. I have brought no lawsuits. I am not wrong. I am not struck here. I am not transgressed the law. I have not been hunted. Except when I'm talking about on the song. I have not made extolling. I have not bragged. I have not cursed. I have not been violent. I have not confounded truth. I have not been impatient. I have not cursed against
Dr. Winter's legacy is a testament to the power of knowledge and the unyielding spirit of exploration. His impact is felt worldwide, as he shares and enlightens at conferences, symposiums, and collaborative projects. His voice is a beacon in the academic world, challenging, inspiring, and always educating. His journey reminds us that the quest for knowledge is never-ending, and its impact is timeless. Dr. Winters teaches us to challenge the narratives and to learn with an open mind. As he always says, B1 is not a group, it's a lineage. Let his story inspire everybody to pursue knowledge relentlessly and to always seek the truth. Now let us welcome in the grandfather of research, the Trill OG himself, the Honorable Dr. Clyde Winter.
What up, though? What up, though? What up, though? Who that looking for me? Who that looking for me? How's everybody doing, family? How you doing, CGI Kid Productions? Yoshi Mod, what up, though? What up, though? JP, what up, though? Jalen Prasad, what up, though? Brave Cold Water, yes, sir. Anthony, how you doing? What up, though? Today is a beautiful day. Naughty. I love to see you. You're here every week with JP and the rest of the gang. Thank you, family, for showing up. Today is a beautiful day. Today is beautiful. We got to go out there and stand in the sun. Stand in the sun and let some of that melanogenesis, take hold of you. What is it? Family. For those of you who are melanated, this is your time of the year. This is the time of the year, because just like the springtime, how you doing, Bruce? Just like the springtime and the plants are growing, you're growing too. Because see, do you know what's going on? I'm going to tell you what's going on. Because of the fact that it's sunny, we're going through a process of melanosynthesis. And what melanosynthesis is just like photosynthesis. The plants, they have that chlorophyll, and it goes through a process, and it absorbs the energy from the sun, and it gets you all hyped. It gets the plants all motivated and makes the plants grow. Hey, that's what happens to us. When it's sunny outside, we go through a process of melanosynthesis. We go through a process in the sense that we're beginning to blossom. We feel so good. Most of the time, if you get out there in the sun, you feel so good. A rainy day, we don't feel so good. But it's always good to be out there in the sun so you can absorb it and stuff like that. CGI Kid had a question. Why did the Black Europeans enslave other Blacks? They enslaved other Blacks because they believed in what's called nationality. Each person belonged to a different nation. Because each person belonged to a different nation, they felt that they had the right to enslave other people. You had to remember that back in the day, even though you may have been melanated, you may have been red bone, coal black, or light skin. If you were a European, you was just a European. You were a German. You were, in a sense, you were from Britain. You were an Irishman. We might call you Black Irishman. How you doing, Joan? We might call you a Black Irishman because of your color, but that's because we've been influenced by these white supremacists, you see. Back in the day, people knew, or they referred to you based on your nationality. Africans, no matter what country you came from, back in the day, they identified all people from Africa as Negroes. So that's why, in a sense, the Africans were recognized as Negroes. Over time, but they still would describe the people as Black. Like the earliest, how you doing, Roy Wooter? The earliest Black people, the earliest explorers, when they came to the Americas, and they saw the Aboriginal people in the Caribbean and the Aboriginal people on the continent, South and North America, they would identify them as Black. They would, in a sense, say that phenotypically they were Black, but they usually, in a sense, refer to these people based upon their nationality, and it's very important. This is cool. How you doing, Roy? Greetings from the Netherlands, family. B1, right, B1. I'm working on that. I'm gonna have to do a video on the people who originally occupied much of the Netherlands. These were mainly Moors, a few Sephardic Jews, and that we always think, and when we think of the Netherlands, we think of the Danes. We always see these big, strong, muscular, blonde Vikings. No. They were usually dark. But, the interesting thing is that, how you doing, Mr. Trendy 90? The interesting thing is that these Black people who lived in Europe, they really, in a sense, they didn't really concentrate on their color. They basically, in a sense, concentrated on their ethnicity. I'm a German, you're a Brit, you're an Italian. So then, therefore, that's how they kind of communicated. Family, I'm a little hyped today, and I'll admit I'm a little hyped, and that's mainly because the fact is that when I got up this morning, I went outside. It had been raining a few days, or the cloudy, and today is so sunny that I'm just really out of it, in the sense is that so much of the sun is out there that I just can't help but just get excited, just feel so good. That was my phone, and that's it has a spooky sound because you never know when you have children. So what if they're adults? They may still be calling you. Because it's kind of interesting. As a black parent, you like to believe, in a sense, that once your children leave at 18, everything is going to be okay, and they're going to go and they're going to be very successful, because that's what the European says. But it's a little bit different. When you're in a foundational Black American, sometimes your kids, they can be in their 40s, sad to say, even 50s, and they may still need your help, because the fact, in a sense, is that it's just that we don't have that wealth. I remember back in the day, my one of my sons would always say, "Hey, I go out and I when I go out, what I do is that I you know I don't really want to talk about this whole idea, because the fact is this is that sometimes people are still in need, and you have to be ready, in a sense, to be supportive of your family." Mr. Trendy says, "I have an argument that the Dravidians were related not only to the C group Nubians, but the earlier Naqada period pre-dynastic Egyptians. They were kicked out by Narmer and went into Europe and became haplogroup M29. And they weren't kicked out. They weren't kicked out by Narmer. Narmer was a Hyksos, and that was the name of the people in Lower Egypt. And Hyksos was the first name for the Kushites. They did not really kick the Dravidians out, because if you really look at it, the Dravidian languages, belong to the Niger-Congo family. In fact, Tamil, which is the dominant language or the literary language for the Dravidian speaking people, is still spoken spoken in Chad, Cameroon. It's still spoken in Africa today. Nobody, they weren't kicked out because they had been so-called kicked out. You wouldn't find Dravidian languages being spoken there. The thing is that what you find, in a sense, is that when you study linguistics, when you do a comparative study of the Dravidian languages, Tamil, Telugu, etc., Malayalam, and you compare them to the Niger-Congo languages, the Senegalese, Wolof, especially Mandingo, you find, in a sense, that they're genetically related. So no, they didn't kick anybody out. We sometimes, I know I even read an article once where Europeans, they want to have you constantly in battle. And when they discuss history, they like history is supposed to be basically a time of confrontation. Now, it wasn't so much confrontation. They did have their disagreements, because we know that it was that disagreement between the Kushites and the Comedians. Dorvell, he's one day I'm gonna have to have him on and interview him, because Dorvell, he's brought the fact that the word Ethiop, which was the name that the Greco-Romans gave to the Kushites, and they called them Ethiops. And Ethiop, we've always translated that as Ethiop as black-faced, and that so the Kushites were known as blackface. But Dorvell, he's made it clear in his research. He found that Ethiop doesn't just mean blackface. It also means, in a sense, shining, and it could be shining intellectually and also shining in terms of their ethnicity. So in a way, Dorvell feels that instead of calling Ethiopians, burnt face, instead of calling them burnt face, we should call them shining. And when you think about it, isn't that true? That when something is fiery, isn't it kind of shining? Don't when you look at a fiery kind of, it's kind of, in a sense, bright. It kind of lightens up the place. And so in a way, Ethiop can be translated as the burnt faces. But this whole idea about shiny is something that's something new. I tried to argue with Dorvell, and Dorvell, he shot me down like I was a pigeon. What? Because, as I always tell you guys, I'm a falsificationist. And as a falsificationist, I have to go with the data. And Dorvell, he showed me so much data. He showed me so much support for interpreting Ethiop as the shining ones, intellectually and ethnically, that I had to kind of just say, hey, well, I have to kind of admit it. I don't mind, in a sense, admitting when I'm wrong, because this is important, family. Nobody's perfect, number one. Secondly, we're learning every day. Yes, we're learning every day, every day, every day. We were. I was talking the other day, and we were thinking about this whole idea of partnership, and relationship between Black men, Black women, and we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned by the white supremacists to always see ourselves as being different. We've been conditioned to feel, in the sense that that they should that we should always kind of put our women in her place. We should maybe try to ignore our women. I mean, I don't know about you. My father told me, "Hey, how you doing, Sister Shanice?" But my father always told me, "Well, woman, listen to him, Clyde, but you got to let it come in one ear and out the other." But again, in a sense, that was what my father taught me. I didn't do everything my father taught me, but he did tell me some important things, and I think it's important. But I think that you want to try to develop a partnership. You want to try to develop a relationship, and that's what we need to do. We've been losing a lot of Black men are unhappy, and they're unhappy today because of the fact that they don't have a partner. They don't have that Black woman in their life. I hate to say this, but I don't believe that a Caucasian can love a Black person. How you doing, Mahogany X? And the reason I don't believe that they can love a Black person is because of the fact that they've been conditioned. Yes, they've been conditioned to feel that you're inferior. They've been conditioned to feel that they should overlord you. So it's very difficult. And so then I think that if you try to find, in a sense, a good woman, you should get a Black woman. Yes, Sister Shanice, your dad, your dad was absolutely right. Laughing out loud, he was. Well, he was right about some things. Peace. Yoshimad, yes, it's got to be peace. And I found the best way to have peace is to understand and respect your woman. Because see, the beauty of having a goddess, a sister as your partner is because the fact, in a sense, she understands you, and hopefully, if she respects you, she's not going to embarrass you. I mean, a lot of times, I used to go to conferences, and whenever my wife could attend, she would attend, and so she would, I'd get out. I do my conference, I get out, I do my presentation. Then later, she would be honest with me. Clyde, you bombed. Well, Clyde, that was pretty good, but maybe you should do this or you should do that. See, because you need someone who can be honest with you. You need someone, in a sense, who can tell you the truth. Because see, when you live in a fantasy world, when you don't know what's right or wrong, then you can be led astray. And so that's why it's very important, in a sense, that you have that queen with you, you have that goddess, so that she can relay to you, things that can keep you in line, and keep you on purpose, and Sister Shanice, you're absolutely correct. People, this is my oracle, Sister Shanice. Most of the time what she says is right on point, and it's true. In ancient times, all the deities were women. I wonder why. They were women because the fact, in a sense, is that women have that intuition. They have a relationship with God that we can't really find. Yeah, true. Sometimes it can be a lot of women out of pocket, like Sexy Red, and other women, in a sense, that allow their sexuality or pretend sexuality to dominate their existence. But usually the melanated woman is very in tune with the Creator, because the melanated woman is in tune with the Creator. Because of her intuition, she can help us, in a sense, to find a very good place in life. And what I like about the Black woman, what I like about the melanated woman, what I like about our goddesses is that whatever you want, if she wants you to have it, you will have it. Me and my son and my oldest son and his wife, we were out to dinner. So we was having a nice little dinner, eating a little, at a seafood restaurant. I can't eat that crawfish stuff because it takes too much. So we were just eating. And then she said, my daughter, she said, "Look at him." And she pointed at my son. I said, "Okay, yeah, that's my big head son. What about him?" She said, "Look at him. Look how contented he is." I said, "You're right. He is contented." And she said, "That's because of me." Damn! What? But she was telling it because the fact, in the sense that many people ask, what does the woman bring to the table? It's not the fact that she has a good job. It's not the fact that she has a big butt or whatever. What a woman brings to the table is that she brings to the table contentment and happiness for her man, you know, and that it's sad that many men do not ever get that, you know. It's you have to, in a sense, understand that, you know. Nadi said, the more knowledge I've accumulated, the more I realize how amazing women are, especially Black women. That's true. They are amazing. But the only problem is that most of the time we don't allow them. We don't allow them, in a sense, to really show us, you know. Jones says, yes. Also, the European concept of love is based on faulty premises. They thought females were inferior to males. Of course they do. And this whole idea of love, you know, when I was teaching in Governor State, and you know, well, mainly I taught linguistics basically at St. Xavier University in Chicago. And so when I was teaching linguistics, I would always begin my course, and I would put on the board love, and I would put on the word love, and I would ask the students, you know, what is love? And you know, since most of the graduate students were women, then I knew what they were going to do. Love is love is understanding. Love is communication. Love is this or love is that, and love is being able, in a sense, to be understanding. And then I would say, "How you doing, Timbo?" And Karen Vincent, and I would say, "Look at anybody got a dictionary? Look on your phone." And then they say, "Aha." Then I say, "Read that definition." And the definition would be affection, a strong affection, and, in a sense, you know, sex. And I said, none of you, in a sense, none of you in the class brought up the real actual definition of the word love, because we see that love is not those things. Though each thing that you said is a particular word that has a particular meaning, and it's a particular way of understanding. But I said what we do is that we fail to allow words to speak for themselves. And we want to give meanings to words that really, in a sense, don't really have that meaning. So each word has to be seen as in light of its own power, in light of its own reality. Because never forget this. Every word that's spoken, it doesn't disappear. You see. What's the first law of thermodynamics? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Therefore, every word that's ever been spoken, how you doing, Felicia? Every word that's ever been spoken still exists. Every word that's ever been spoken has a reality. Every word that's ever been spoken becomes real. See, that's one of the things that we forget. That when we have negative thoughts, it's best to keep those negative thoughts in our mind. Because once you speak, once you bring it out, once you speak it, once you say those negative words, what you do, in a sense, is that you put out that negative energy. And people don't understand that. So we had to be very careful, you know. You had to be very careful, because the point is this, is that it's only through understanding the power of words that we're going to be able, in a sense, to have a greater understanding of who and what we are. But anyway, I'm going to get right into it. Today, we're going to talk about the Nile Valley origins. You know, see, many people, we've been conditioned to feel that whenever you read about the people of South India, the Dravidian people, we're constantly told, in a sense, that these people, well, maybe they lived in South India, and that the literature, the ancient literature, the Purana, the Veda, and all of these, Mahabharata, the Ramayana, that these books, in a sense, that deal with, in a sense, Indian so-called Hindu civilization, we always believe that they're related to India, when the research today shows it's not. That much of the information in the Indian literature, Rig Veda, Ramayana, Mahabharata, all these various ancient texts, what they're talking about is the Nile Valley. Yes, the Nile Valley. And this is something that is new, but it's something that we all need to think about. The slides for the program are going to be in my Patreon. So go to Patreon to see my slides. I hope you join my Patreon. And by joining my Patreon, what you're doing in a sense is that you're allowing me to be able, in a sense, to do the research. And see, much of the research that I do, I try to keep it up to date. Because I try to keep it up to date, I have to buy articles, and some of these articles are behind paywalls. Sometimes I have to buy the latest books so I can get the latest information and bring it to you. And my supporters in my Patreon, they allow me to have the opportunity to share this information with you and to obtain the information. You can go to Twitter at Dr. Clyde Winters 8. I sometimes post up on Twitter. Right now, you're on my YouTube channel, Afrocentric History YouTube channel. Come here. I have over 300 videos, and these videos tell all aspects of our history. Also, in a sense, you can order my books at Amazon.com. B1 is acknowledging your Black African ancestry and mod, not heritage. We must be race men and women proud of our culture and African Black ancestry. What is FBA? FBA is not a group. FBA is not an organization. FBA is a lineage. A lineage is lineal descent from an ancestor, ancestry or pedigree. As a result, we are descendants of the African and Aboriginal Blacks who built the United States. Some of the information that I'm going to present to you today, you can find in my book, The Nile Valley History and the Veda. You can also find out information in the world history of the Black race. In the world history of the Black race, I discuss every Black civilization throughout, in a sense, the world. And get my podcast, Black History Gem Essays, Volumes 1 and Volume 2, and you're going to find out so much information about the various ancient history that characterized Black people. Also, you guys, I want you to support, JP. And, her book is called Ancient Blacks in Cambodia, the Khmer Empire. It's a paperback book. This book is a beautiful book by C.A.I.D. She's in the chat every week. And, this woman has written a very beautiful book, a very good book on, the Black people in Cambodia, ancient Cambodia. I hope that you're a supporter. She's part of the family, and not only part of the family, she's part of the family that's trying to illuminate, various aspects of our ancient history. And this is what it's all about. That's why I come to you guys every week. I come to you guys every week with the latest information. I come to you guys every week with new ideas to kind of tell you how much of the history that we know is a lie. Much of the history that we've been taught is false. And because much of this history is false, much of this history is a lie, I love it when members of the family will write books and write articles that show our authentic history, So try to check out C.A.I.D. Prasad's book, Ancient Blacks in Cambodia, the Khmer Empire. It's a very good book, and you're going to enjoy it. You can order it at Amazon.com. Buy your copy today. Caucasians seek to hide our history so we can acquire C.A.I.D.s. C.A.I.D.s, culturally acquired immune identity deficiency syndrome, is a disease. It's a pandemic, It results from the pandemic of white supremacy, which seeks to inculcate within us empty self-esteem. Yes, empty self-esteem. We have to end this pandemic of white supremacy, which translates into C.A.I.D.s. Empty self-esteem is the absence of feeling good about yourself, good about your community, good about your tradition, and shared meanings as a Black man or woman. Yes. You have to fight C.A.I.D.s, because C.A.I.D.s is a terrible element to have. When you suffer from C.A.I.D.s, you begin to believe that you're just as good as the white man. You begin to feel that you're just as good as the white woman. Nada. When you begin to feel that you're just as good as the white man or the white woman, you're lost, because the white man, the white woman, as indicated by white supremacy, they think you're better than them. They think you're better than them. They think that you're superior to them. And they have to feel that you're superior to them That's why they created white supremacy, so that they can have a privilege in the society, so that they can overlord you. So whenever you think that you're just as good as them, all you're doing, in a sense, is creating a position in which sooner or later you're going to fall victim to the ailment of C.A.I.D.S. The letters C.A.I.D.S means culturally acquired immune identity deficiency syndrome. C.A.I.D.S has caused much destruction in the African American FBA community. C.A.I.D.S is a psychological equivalent to the AIDS virus. This is an infectious mental illness that causes the individual to lose his or her immunity to white second frequency mental domination of their mind and loss of identity, as noted by Joan Coramante, a member of my Patreon. And also she's in the chat. As a proud Black man or woman, due to the acceptance of white supremacist tenets, you lose your whole identity. To fight C.A.I.D.S, you must stay Black first, be one, through acceptance of your African ancestry and true knowledge of your history. C.A.I.D.S has caused so much destruction because of the fact that people don't understand that it is, a disease that's equivalent to AIDS. The aim of knowing your history is to strengthen your cultural awareness of Black African people so that you can have the self-confidence to fight C.A.I.D.S. Afrocentrism is the ideational code African Americans, foundational Black Americans, all people in the world can use to conceptualize the universe in which they live and interact. Culture can be defined as man's learned accumulated social experience, including man's art, belief, and etc. The C.A.I.D.S virus is caused primarily when a Black person places the pursuit of European culture and values over the traditional culture and values of foundational Black, American, and African people. This lack of race pride, knowledge of one's past, leads to feelings of racial inferiority. Due to C.A.I.D.S, many African Americans are ignorant of their past and thusly lack the human values necessary to protect FBA culture from self-destruction. What is worse, these Blacks can know they are perpetuating a lie, but do it anyway because they feel other Blacks are too ignorant to see through their deception. Yes. Whites, to ensure and promote support for worldwide white supremacy, they teach us about the Vedic hymns. Whites teach that these hymns record the superiority of the whites over Blacks. But in reality, the Vedic hymns make it clear that the Aryans were illiterate, non-urban, non-maritime people, lacking in political complexity. Indo-Aryan speakers did not come into India peacefully. The Veda supports the Aryan invasion theory. Firstly, the Vedics talk about wars in North India between the Vedic and non-Vedic people who lived in Pura or Tripura, walled cities or forts. The Vedas make it clear that the Aryans invaded India. Thusly, Indra was called the Puramdal, the fort destroyer. There's nothing in the Vedic literature that refers to South India. The term dasa referred to people, not spiritual matters. In Ralph T.H. Griffin's Veda, Book 2 of hymn 11:18, we read, and I quote, "Thou hast disclosed the light to light the Arya, or their left hand. O Indra, sank the Disyu. May we gain wealth, subduing with thou, succor, and the Aryas, all our foes, the Dasyus." This makes it clear that the Arya, the Vedic people, they were attacking the Dasa, the Dasyus, to steal their wealth and legacy. Yes. The Aryan people, like the Caucasian people, they seek to steal the history of other people. They seek to steal, in a sense, the history and make someone else's history their own. Just like today in India, today in India, it's very sad that in India, the people who live in South India, mainly the Dravidian people, they do not allow the South Indians to publicize the authentic dates, the carbon dates for their sites, because they want to make it appear that everything in India came with the Aryan people, that it was the Aryan people who introduced this civilization to India. They even try to teach the lie that the Harappan or Indus Valley civilization was founded by the Aryan people, and that's wrong. It has nothing to do with the Aryans. In fact, many of you guys may not even know that Hinduism is practiced different in North India as opposed to among the Dravidians. Yes, the Dravidians have their own way of practicing Hinduism, you see. They refer, in a sense, to Northern Hinduism as Brahmanism. And in Brahmanism, when Brahmanism, you seek, in a sense, the superiority of one group of people, one caste that have greater influence, greater support, or greater knowledge than the rest of the other classes. Whereas among Dravidian people, Hinduism is a religion, in a sense, that unifies the people in the belief in, God. White people don't want us to know that the Veda is not just about a war between Black Dravidians and semi-white Indo book on Kush and the Nile Valley. The Vedas, the religious text composed in Vedic Sanskrit, regarded as the oldest scriptures of Hinduism. The Puranas are a vast collection of Indian literature that cover Hindu legends and traditional folklore. Is the Rig Veda and other ancient Indian texts about the Nile Valley? The answer, according to Francis Wilford, William Jones, and Dr. Lenny Srinivasan, is yes. It's about the Nile Valley. Get my books, The Nile Valley History and the Rig Veda, and also the Kushites, who, what, when, where. These books can help you gain more information about how the Dravidians, in a sense, originally lived in the Nile Valley, but today are found in South India. Many people assume that the history of Africa begins and ends on the African continent. This is false. Africans have left their imprint in ancient Eurasia. Farazi Visunia gives a great discussion of two British Orientalists, William Jones and Francis Wilford. Dr. Vasunia provides a detailed essay on Jones and Wilford's discovery that Kush, Ethiopia, and Egypt were mentioned in the Purana literature of India. Jones, 1807, made it clear that the Devanagari script of the Hindus was of Abyssinian origin. I bet you didn't know that, did you? I bet you didn't know that when you look at the Devanagari script, when you look at the Indian writing system, I bet you didn't know that it's based upon Indian Ethiopian or modern Ethiopian writings, because it was the Ethiopian people from Ethiopia, known as the Nagas, who introduced, in a sense, writing to India and even Southeast Asia. But that's another story. Jones made it clear that the Devanagari script of the Hindus has an Abyssinian origin. As a result, he grouped the Indians with the Kushites and Egyptians. Jones studied the Puranas and reported that figures from the Bible, Kush, Mizra, and Rama, were all found in the Puranas. He made it clear that Kush of the Puranas corresponds to Kush, Mizra to Mishrara, and Rama to Rama. Wilford believes that the name Mizra probably meant Memphis. According to Wilford, Memphis was built by Menes. The Padma Puran claimed the Satyavarata, after the deluge, had three sons, Jivapeti, Sharma, and Sharma. Wilson believed that Sharma and Shamar correspond to Sham, Ham, and Sham. The Hindu god Krishna was called Kishin. Wilford argues that Ethiopia, Kush, Nubia, and Egypt was in the Sankhadvipa. This region was sometimes called Kali and recognized as being situated on the Kali. And Kali is the Purana name for the Nile River. The Hindus said that the Kali River flowed into the Sumagiri, or the Mountains of the Moon, just as the Egyptians say. So you can look at this map on the right-hand side, and we can see Upper Nubia, Lower Nubia. Upper Nubia was called Kurancha, and Lower Nubia was called Kusha. Wilford said the Hindus called Africa Airia, the land of the shepherds. The center of Africa was called the chariots of the gods. Lower Egypt in the Puranas was called Mizra Stahavin, country of the mixed people. This term may be a reference to the fact people were speaking Semitic and non-Semitic languages in Lower Egypt. Yes. You know, many people they assume in a sense that Lower Egypt was conquered by the Hyksos, but Hyksos is the original Lower Egyptian name for the Kushites. Yes, that's another lie Europeans have taught you. Europeans have taught you that the Hyksa were, in a sense, some people who were supposed to have been some Jews who supposed to had taken over Lower Egypt, and that it was a war between these Jews who had taken over Lower Egypt and the Egyptians. No. Hyksos was the name for Cush, or the Lower Egyptians. And in fact, many have left many inscriptions throughout Egypt, Nubia, and all the way into the Levant and Mesopotamia, where he identified himself, where Menes identified themselves, Narmer identified himself as Hyksa, that he was of the Hyksa, a Kushite. Upper Egypt was called Tapovana, or Thebes. Tapovana was recognized by the Indians as the center of Egyptian religion. Wilford believes that the name Mizra probably meant Memphis, you see. Dr. Srinivasan has written several books and articles and explains that the reason many locales mentioned in the Veda, Ramayana, and other texts are not found in India is because these toponyms come from the Nile Valley and the ancient Levant, not India. Dr. Leni Srinivasan, her books include the Desi, Crete, Egypt, Missing Links of the Veda. You should get these books, and these books will explain to you. These books are they're very long. Both of them are over 300 pages. But these books by Leni Srinivasan is full of so much information, and it'll tell you so much about how the Puranas and other Indian literature, other Indian traditions, are talking about the Nile Valley and not, in a sense, India. So check out these books if you're interested. Dr. Srinivasan has studied the ancient literature and provided us keen insight into ancient Nile Valley and the Levant history. Many people will be surprised after reading her major books, Desi, Crete to Egypt, Missing Links of the Veda, and Near Eastern Deities in the Veda, to learn that the Veda, Ramayana, and other texts provide us information on ancient Nubia and Dravidians in the Nile Valley. These books can be ordered at Amazon.com. The ancient Indians recorded their history and elements of their civilization in texts called Puranas and Pali. Buddhists preserved traditions in the Pali language. The Puranas are Hindu texts. The Purana and Pali texts make it clear that Shola were Kushites from Africa. The Dravidians lived in ancient Africa. It appears that the Tamil belonged to the Nahasi or Nehesi tribes, and the Telugu and Kannada belonged to the Tehinu tribes. These people were called Hyksos by the ancient Egyptians, or Kushites. Hus may also refer to the nation or country region of Kush. Dr. Srinivasan noted that in ancient India text, the Nile Valley was called Kushadvipa, or Kushland. The inhabitants of Kushadvipa were named Kasi in the Indian text. In the Puranas, Kusha was southern Nubia or Upper Kush. In the Puranas, northern Nubia or Lower Kush was called Kuruncha. Dr. Srimanasa knows that the Nile Valley Kush was called Kushadvipa, or Kush in the Puranas, and Kushnila in Pali texts. The Puranas and Pali are the names given to ancient Vedic Indian texts. In the Puranas, Kusha was southern Nubia or Pakush. In the Purana, northern Nubia or Lower Kush was called Kuruncha. You can see these, you can look at this map and you can see some of the centers in Upper and Lower Kush. In the Puranas and Pali texts, Nahise corresponds to Mandean Nahas, the name for the underworld, abode of the serpent Ur, the metaphoric name for Nubia. You know, it's again, you know, if you've been listening to many of my lectures, a serpent always appears. If you look at the picture of the statue of Tutankhamun, you know how he has that serpent over the pineal gland, you see? And then sometimes when you look at some of the Buddhist texts, you'll see in a sense, you'll see Buddha, but behind Buddha you'll see a serpent. And this goes back to this whole idea of serpent worship. And it appears in a sense that serpent worship was the original worship of many of the Kushites, the Egyptians, and people like that. One day I'm going to have to go into that in more detail. But again, I'm still learning. I'm still learning about this serpent worship. And once I get it down pat, I'll probably do a video on it. A major Kushite nation and tribe were the Wawat. The Egyptian semi-vowels changed into Sanskrit Y or V. Srimanasa believes that the Yayati was the name for Wawat. You can see on this map, you can see Wawat, Media, Yam, and other cities that made up Upper and Lower Nubia. We also find in the Puranas a tribe named Vasa, or Vasishata. The Vasa tribe corresponds to the Wase, or the Wasat tribe, or nation. In other words, you'll find in many words that we find in Egyptian and other African languages that begin with a W, they equal words that begin with a V in the Puranas and Pali texts. Srinivasan, according to, has said that the name for thieves is also mentioned as a name for the Nahisi or Wasat tribe. During the 5th dynasty of Egypt, namely during the reign of Sahure, there is mention of the Tehinu people. Sahure referred to the Tehinu people, Tehinu leaders, Hatti Tehinu. These Hattu correspond to the Hatti-speaking people of Anatolia. The Hatti or Hurrian people often refer to themselves not as Hatti or Hurrian. That's what outsiders call them. The Hatti and Hurrian people, they call themselves Kashakas or Kashkas. The term Hakakasut was used for the kings of the Nile Valley Kushites and the Haksas. The term Hakakasut appear in line 46 of the Winnie inscription. Hakakasut also appears in the epic Puranas as Ikshavaku. Ishvaku, Hakahasut. The Ishvaku were seen as evil. The Ishvaku worshiped Set. And as you know, the Egyptians often said that the Nubians or the Kushites, they were evil people because they worshiped Set. Hattians lived in Anatolia. Here's a very interesting description. If you can look at this picture up at the top, this is a picture of some of the Hattians. I think it's very, and you can see their phenotype. You can see they wore afros, big noses, things like that. Hattians lived in Anatolia. They worshiped Kashu or Kushu. They were especially prominent in the Pontic Mountains. Their sister nation in the Halys Basin were the Kashka tribes. The Kashka and Hadeans share the same name for gods, along with personal and place names. The Kashka had a strong empire which was never defeated, even by the Indo-European speaking Hittites. Anatolia was occupied mainly by many Kushite groups, including the Kashkas or the Hadis. The Hadi, like the Dravidian speaking people, were probably related. The Hadi were probably members of the Tehenu tribe. This I really love finding this inscription. This is a new inscription. If you look at the picture of these Hadians, this is a very, very recent picture. But again, I was able to access this picture when it was originally published, and it was published behind a paywall. But I was able, in a sense, to access it because of the fact that, as I said, my Patreon gives me that opportunity. Please join my Patreon. Before Mande settlements in the Dar towns and the Garamanti civilization, there was another Mande empire. This was called the Su Confederation. Yes. Dr. Leni Srinivasan, in her study of the Veda, Purana, and Pali texts of India, discovered in these texts an empire called Su. And this is I didn't really know about the Su Empire. I didn't even know a Su Empire existed until I started studying some of the research of Leni Srinivasan. You see, once she gave me the ground, this is what research is all about. Once she gave me information about the fact that there was a Su Empire, then that allowed me to go back and look at the Egyptian writing. And then I said, damn, it was a Su Empire. But the Europeans, the Egyptologists, they never talk about a Su Empire because they never teach you the authentic history of Black people in Africa, Black people in Egypt, Black people in India. They don't teach you the authentic history because they don't, in a sense, want to teach you the truth because it teaches you things that are different from the way you've been taught. See, and this was an empire called the Su Confederation. We know about the Su Empire as a result of the research of Leni Srinivasan on the countries and leaders mentioned in ancient Indian texts, the Pali, Purana, Veda. Dr. Srinivasan has proven that the reason researchers into the ancient Indian literature have been unable to find cities, gods, and elites mentioned in these texts in India is because this literature was talking about events that took place in the Nile Valley and the Levant. The Su Empire was centered at Philae. Look at this picture. This picture, in a sense, can show you one of the members of the Su Empire. The Su Confederation. He's at Philae, this island. There was a center of the Su Empire, but it was also a center of Egyptian civilization. This is what drives me wild. What drives me wild, family, is that the Europeans, when they teach you Egyptology, they only teach you a surface history. They don't go into a detailed history. They teach you, in a sense, lies and falsehoods because they don't want you to know the true extent of the civilization. See? But what we find is that the Su Empire had pharaohs, and these pharaohs were not only, in a sense, the rulers of Kemet, they were also, in a sense, rulers of places in the Levant. They were also rulers even in ancient China. Yes. The Su Empire. The Su Empire was dominated by the Hyksos. The Hyksos were a mixed population of people from Lower Egypt. From Lower Egypt into Libya on into the Levant. This part of Africa was dominated by Mande-speaking people. The Hyksos were Kushites. The Su people were also known in history as the Kushites. The Kushites descended from the prehistoric people that belonged to the Unanian culture. Yes. Lower Egypt. This is where we get the name Hyksos. Because remember, as I told you, is that when Narmer, when he conquered the Levant, when he moved into Mesopotamia, he left inscriptions. And in these inscriptions, he said he was a Hux, which is the original pronunciation of the name Cush. Cush goes back, I think, to the one of the later dynasties of Egypt. But the Hushites were originally called Hush. Here we can see one of the Hux, leaders of Lower Egypt talking to his troops, getting them ready, in a sense, to go off and conquer parts of the Levant, all the way to Mesopotamia. Yes, yes. The original homeland of the Niger-Congo speakers was probably situated in the Saharan highlands during the Uanian period. From here, Niger-Congo populations migrated into the Fezzan. Nile Valley in Sudan, as their original homeland, became more and more arid. This was probably the ancient homeland of the Dravidians, Egyptians, Sumerians, Niger-Kordofanian, Mande, Anatolians, Kushites, and Elamite speakers. We call this part of Africa, yes. We call this part of Africa the Fertile African Crescent, because this is what it was during the Green Sahara. We call these people the Proto-Saharans. I did a lecture on that, so go back, look at some of my videos, and you can find out more about the Proto-Saharans or the Maids. The generic term for this group in the ancient literature was Kushite. The Kushites lived in Africa and Asia. The origination of these diverse Kushite tribes in the ancient Sahara explains the analogy between the Bapsutra languages. The Bapsutra lamb is based upon the fact that the Black African, Baf, Sutra, that would be Sutra, would be the Sumerian, Dravidian. Lamb would be a Lamite. So Bapsutra lamb, the Bapsutra lamb languages, this discuss the relationship between Dravidian, ancient Elamite, the Mande, the Sumerian, and as you can see, here I present, and you can see on the right-hand side, I show a list of some of the cognate terms. And not only do I show a list of these cognate terms, I can prove that there was a relationship because I also show the protoform of these languages. Yes, in comparative linguistics, you're supposed to be able, in a sense, to look at a family of languages and be able to reconstruct the proto-language. A proto-language is an imaginary language that linguists that we believe, in a sense, may have been spoken, maybe it wasn't spoken, but it's supposed to, in a sense, maybe demonstrate to the person studying these languages how the mother language, how the words in the mother language may have been spoken. So as you can see from this list, that the Bapsutra languages of Black African, Sumerian, Dravidian, and Elamite languages show full cognition, and they had to come from a mother culture. And this mother culture, this culture, mother had to have been, in a sense, in the Green Sahara. The original Su Empire was founded by the Anu. The second Su Empire was founded by Mande speakers. It is important to remember that the Mande people in ancient times inhabited the Nile Valley, Libya, and the Levant. The Mande had established colonies not only in the Levant, but also Mesopotamia and China. The center of the Su Empire was in Upper Egypt and Kush. The area from Elephantine to Philae was called Noon. Over time, the Su Empire migrated into Cameroon and Chad. The upper picture, you can see the Mande city of Garama. The lower picture, you can see the Mende Sepat of Kamet. Yes, there was a Sepat. Sepat was one of the, was what the Egyptians named the various city-states along the Nile. The Mande speakers include the Maninka, the Mandinka, the Soninki, the Bambara, the Kapeli, the Jula, the Bozo, the Mindi, the Susu, and Vai. There are around 60 to 75 languages spoken by 30 to 40 million Mande people. Today, they live chiefly in Burkina Faso, Mali, Senegal, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Mauritania, Ghana, and also in northwestern Nigeria and northern Benin. So as you can see, the Mande-speaking people are all over. And we also know that there was a Mande or Mindi, Sipat in Kenya. And it was probably in this Sipat that the Mande speaking people, lived. That's one of the reasons why that's one of the things that anti-Geop showed us is that the ancient Egyptian language or Metanetra was in a sense a lingua franca. And because it was a lingua franca, that's why anti-Geop was able in a sense to show the relationship between Metanetra and Wolof. And as I've shown you early when I showed you about Sutherland languages, there's a relationship between Egypt, Sumerian, Dravidian. When I say Dravidian, those are Dravidian taken from the language, just to let you know. And so then, as you can see, this unity, there's a unity. See, there's much more unity between Black people than disunity. But see, the European, he wants you to understand, in a sense, that everybody is disunited because that's how he's been able to conquer people. See, he can't conquer people who see themselves as B1 Black first, but he can conquer people who mainly identify themselves based upon their nationality, where they came from. It's important to remember that the Mande people inhabited the Nile Valley, Libya, and the Levant. The Mande had established colonies not only in the Levant, but also Mesopotamia and China. The center of the Su Empire was Upper Egypt and Kush. The area from Elephantine to Philae was called Nun. An early king of Su was Sheshe. Sheshe ruled for 19 years. It appears that his authority extended, now listen to this, Pharaoh Sheshe, his authority extended to the Hyksos, Kushites, and Lower Egypt. Shinshe was married to a Nubian named Tadi. Their son was Nehisse. After Shinshe's death, the throne was given over to Pharaoh Nehisse, Asek-Re. And as you can see, these pharaohs, Sheshe and Nehisse, they were not only ruling Egypt. Think about this. This is what make the research of lineage renaissance so interesting. Is that these pharaohs were not only ruling over Lower Egypt, parts of Kush, but also parts of China, the Levant, and beyond, while they were still the pharaohs in Egypt. But you would never hear this from the Europeans. You would never hear this from Caucasians. You would never hear this from the Egyptologists, because they taught you that the Egyptians were the Egyptians and everybody else was some foreigner. No. Just like they invented this place called the Middle East, which is not the Middle East, but it's still part of Africa. Family, study, learn your history, know your history. The theocratic centers of Su were Philae or Ambo. Texts of Nehisse have been found at Nupti, Gashti or Kasi, Mendes, and C.A.I.D.S. The capital of Su was Ambo or Philae, the island of Philae. Here's another picture of Ambo. This would have been the administrative center for the Su Empire. The Su people worship a number of gods, including Set, Neith, and Benabdiad. Benabdiad was a unifying god for the Su because the god was the spirit of Geb, Osiris, Ra, and Shu. The major center of Benabdiad worship was Mendes. Philae was a symbolic seat of the Kushite high god. The most famous king of the Second Su Empire was Nehesse. King Nehesse was the son of Sheshi. Nehesse was a 14th century dynasty king of Metanetra. Of Kemet, where they spoke the ancient Egyptian language called Metanetra. This is our King Nehesse. And this king, as I'm telling you, based upon the research that this was not just a pharaoh of Egypt. Think about it. He was also, in a sense, the leader of the Su Empire, which stretched all the way to China. Yes. But we would know this except for the fact that Lenny Srinivasan was able to show, in a sense, that much of the writing in the Puranas and the Pali texts of the Hindus was talking about the Nile Valley and not India. The throne name of Nihisi was Sheri. Stelas of Nihisi have been found in Tel El Mukdan, Tel Habua, Tel Adaba, Tajaru, near Tajaru. Nihisi made many offerings to Benadieb. These are some of his various throne names. So we have reliable evidence about this King Nihisi. And King Nihisi, as I told you before, is also mentioned in the Puranas, in the Pali texts. See, you have to understand that there's much more unity when we study Black history than disunity. Sure, people have wars, people had disagreements, but it's not as distinct as the Europeans would have you believe. Nihisi was loved by people from Kush to Canaan. Dr. Srinivasan makes it clear that Nihisi was a Su. Srinivasan made clear Nihisi was called Nahusha in Indian texts. The leaders of the Sioux Empire were predominantly Manding-speaking people. Their name Sioux came from the Manding word Si, which meant Black people and nation. Thus, the addition of the U to Si, Sioux, to make it plural gives us the word Sioux. They were sitting at Ambo or Filet. The Shola or Kora rulers of India came from Nubia. The Shola kings in the Puranas were called Ikshvakush, or Hasut, like the Nihisi kings of the Nile Valley. The Ishva of the Puranas correspond to Hasut. Ishva, Hasut. Okay, let's take a little break, and we'll look at some of the various. How you doing, Just Eve? We're going to look at some few commercials. I hope that you'll. If you want to establish a homeschool, this is some information that can. Today is today. We need to homeschool our children due to white supremacy. In many states, education departments are passing laws to deny our children from learning the history of foundational Black Americans. Today, you can learn how to organize and teach your children in a homeschool in my book, A Guide to Homeschool Foundational Black Americans. You can use my book, History of Blacks in America from Prehistory to 1877, to teach our children their history here in the United States. You can use my book to teach world history. And this book I've written is called The World History of the Black World. This will teach your children about every Black civilization in the world. Get this book. The time is now. Get these books to teach your children about their greatness, to prevent them from losing confidence in their own ability to learn and be successful future adults in employment and education. Me and our sister Shanice, we're going to be teaching part 2. Yes, part 2 of the Black British History class. I hope you guys, we're going to open up the part 2 of the class, the Black British History class. We're going to start it on the 29th of April. Please join us.
Greetings family, Sister Shanice here, and I'm absolutely delighted to be able to bring you a new training program that starts on Monday the 29th of April 2024. It's going to be running for 6 strongs or 6 weeks, and we're going to be focusing on when Britain was black. Yes, indeed. Did you know that there was a time when in Britain we were worshipping a black Jesus on the cross? No, it's not not just Russia. Did you know that there was a time in Britain where the mother and child was actually portrayed as black? Did you know that there was a time in Britain when the majority of people in Parliament were black? Did you know that there was a time in Britain when the monument builders were black? Did you know there was a time in Britain when the aristocracy was black, the kings, the queens, and royalty was black? Family, there has been so much history that has been hidden from us as a people, and we're going to be resurrecting this history on our 6 weeks training program. So make sure you join me, family, if you want to appreciate the extent to which we as Africans have a greater claim to Britain than is currently being portrayed. If you are a Black history enthusiast, if you want to learn about where to go to do the research and find out more about Black Britain, if you are maybe training others in Black history, developing curriculum materials, maybe teaching in the field of history, and want to know more about Africans in Britain, then this is definitely the course for you. As I said, it's starting on Monday the 29th of April. Installment options are available. We're looking forward to you joining us on that day. I have leading researcher, anthropologist, archaeologist, linguist, man himself, Dr. Clyde Winters. So join us, family. We look forward to you being there. Okay, family, so sign up for this new, innovative, inspirational, groundbreaking course that's going to unravel, resurrect some buried treasures of African history. Don't delay. Go to sistershanice.gumroad.com. That's sistershanice.gumroad.com. Bye for now.
Join us. We're going to be starting on Monday. It's from 7:30 to 9:30 London time, 1:30 to 3:30 Central Standard Time. So join us for this class. You're going to love it. Part 1 was well received. Now we're doing part 2. Join us for this. Also, you guys need to get some jewelry.
Since the gold touch your heart with the dinner rolls, shake the spirit one time, it gets old. She gon' take me out of space into another zone. Some spirit, she ain't messing with them petty hoes. Microwaves and cobalt us out of phone. Talking to that vibe and smoking good on that drone. Call me eating out with the cuz all up in a fro. This queen approach, she gon' drop it low to the flow. You know she liquid gold with the alchemy in the bowl. Trippy super soul is the greatest tale never told. She gon' get you right, you can set up on your goals. You gon' spend the night in the harmonize with your tones. You know she's super fine in the aura down to her bones. Super magic fairy, I'm lost in the rituals. She give me life like butterflies on the rose. Really rich and old, ain't nothing like cracker trolls. Hidden in the clothes, an extraterrestrial. And she never fold, trap crackers up in the dough. She drink your wine, she rock you up like a bow. And she spark my mind with intellectual pose. Shake butter oils and linger up in your nose. Independent goddess, like rhythm up in the soul.
Yellow honey, drip slow, sweet agave, at the toe. Independent finance, wine, citrus mist. My Wonder Woman, I wonder how to.
You got to get some of that jewelry. What makes this jewelry so interesting is that Tones 5, what he's done is that they found jewelry in some of the mounds. Yes, they found jewelry in the Aboriginal mounds of the Americas. And what Tones 5 has done is that he's taken some of the examples of that jewelry and made the jewelry come to life for us today. Check out Tones 5's, site. Buy that jewelry. Be supportive. Again, I've began teaching my Afrocentric Research Course. We started on Monday. It's still time to join. We haven't really went into detail, so you can join. Please join my Afrocentric, research history class. It's a class that will teach you how to do research. It's a class that will help you learn how to publish, how to understand, and learn more about how to present your ideas about Black history to the public.
Afrocentric Research Course.
You will learn how to interpret anthropological, historical, legal, genetic, and other forms of research literature. This is 30 hours of learning how to do qualitative and quantitative research methods. The course begins on April 16th. The class will be taught every Tuesday for 15 weeks. Join Dr. Winters' research class. Afrocentric Research Course. Become a researcher.
You can join that class. It's still open. We're going into the beginning, but it's still time to join. So if you're interested in sharpening your research skills, please support this class. Please join this class. And definitely, many of those videos were done by the genius Yoshi-Mande. I hope that you guys will support Yoshi-Mande, because Yoshi-Mande can make your site. He can make your ideas. He can make whatever you dream a reality. Please support Yoshi-Mande. Again, support Yoshi-Mande Productions. Yoshi-Mande, the genius, he will provide you with the greatest artwork, the greatest, videos that you could even hope for. He'll make your organization, he'll make your website, magnifique, you see. So support this brother. Again, let's get back to the discussion. The Chola Aurora rulers of India came from Nubia. The Chola kings in the Puranas were called Ishvakush, or Hekakashut. Like the Nihisi kings of the Nile Valley, the Ishava of the Puranas correspond to Hasut. The Chola related to the Naga. The Naga was supposed to have lived in Nagaloka in the underworld. Srinivas believes the Purana underworld, Nagaloka, was located in Upper Nubia. The Chola kings in the Puranas were called Ishvakush, or Hekahasut, like the Nihisi kings of the Nile Valley. Thusly, Ishavahush, Hahahush, are the same. You can look at some of the symbols of the Chola empires, and as you can look at this map, when you look at this map, you can see, in a sense, how the first migrants that went into South India were the Telugu and Kannada speakers. When they went into South India, what they did, in a sense, is that they migrated from the Nile Valley across Kumari Nadu, and Kumari Nadu was an island, and it was a continent in the Pacific that connected East Africa to India. And they migrated across Kumari Nadu into southern India, and this was around somewhere around 2000 to 1500 BC. You see, okay, many people, and it was the Telugu and Kannada people who created the South Indian megalithic culture. Many people believe that because of the fact that the inscriptions on the South Indian pottery is written in Tamil, they believe that the Tamil were the first people to enter South India. No. The Tamil were not the first people to enter South India. The first people to enter South India were the Telugu and the Kannada, but they used Tamil as a lingua franca. Yes, they used Tamil as a lingua franca. The Tamil people when they usually migrated along with the Mande speaking people into Asia. And what we find in a sense is that the Tamil people, they founded the so-called Indus Valley civilization. Yes, it was Tamil people who founded the Indus Valley civilization. And I deciphered the Indus Valley writing, 90, 2000, about 40 years ago. Even though they say it's not deciphered, I deciphered it. I've written about what? Somewhere between 5 and 12 articles on how to read the Indus Valley inscriptions, because they're written in the Tamil language. So again, it was the Tamil. They migrated into Mesopotamia, and then formed the Indus Valley civilization. You see, whereas in a sense the Telugu, the Kannada, they came across Tamil Nadu, and then they moved into South India. They would have been the first people. The royal title of the Cholas, or Quora, among the Tamils, Chola is pronounced with an R, Quora. As a result, the Prakrit inscriptions, Cholas is written as Soras or Koras. Dr. Shuri Manasseh suggested that the Kore or Korites of the Bible may be the same people. This is one of the some of the boats that the ancient Dravidians had built. You see, as you can see that they could row the boats, and they also had sails. Very interesting. And this is a Dravidian boat that they would have used in a sense to sail in the Indian Ocean. The royal insignia of the Cholas was snakes. Twin serpents was a popular symbol of royalty among the Nepalian kings. On the left-hand side, you can see the Nepalian kings. You see the double snake, and then we see for the Chola kingdom of the people of South India, they had the two fishes. So you can see this cognition, between the various cultures. In summary, whites don't want us to know that Indian literature is about the Nile Valley. You now know that the Telugu speakers belong to the Tehinu and Nahisi tribes of Nubia or Kush in the Nile Valley. The Telugu and Egyptian language share many terms because the Cholas came from Kashi or Kush, which was called Kushadvipa. They migrated into Anatolia and formed several city-states, including the Aryan, Mitanni, and Kassite states, and were members of the Hatti Confederation. Srinivasan stated that the royal insignia of the Chola were two snakes. The two snakes as symbols of royalty goes back to the Nepalian kingdoms of Kush or Nubia, who wore the double wajid crown. So you can see on the right-hand side the symbol of the Chola, Quora, and you can see in a sense the double snakes associated with the various Kushite empires. White people want you to know that the dasas of the Vedic literature were Dravidians. They want you to know that civilization came to India via the white Indo-Aryans. They want you to believe that the Aryan invasion did not exist. Yes. They want you to believe all this bullshit, but that's all a lie. You see, there was an Aryan invasion. In reality, the Indo-Aryan people were not the original inhabitants of India. These mixed race people who saw themselves as superior to dark-skinned people entered in India around 1000 BC. Whites are using this Indo-Aryan foundation model for promoting mixed race as a way to ensure that whiteness is the ideal orientation of man, even if the people making this claim lack a pale complexion. According to Raman, the beginning of the plain gray wear phase, this is associated with the Indo-Aryan, has been extrapolated back to 1000 BC. During excavations in Haryana and Punjab, dating after the decline of the Harappan civilization, the radiocarbon dates for PGN, plain gray wear, are far too late to support an Indo-Aryan hypothesis for the foundation of the Indus Valley civilization. Here you can look at some of the, look at this map on the right-hand side. They try to teach you that there was no Aryan invasion. That's a lie. But like most white people or light-skinned people. They want to, these people, the Indo-Aryans, they want to teach that they were the first ones in India and all that, just so in a sense they can have a history for themselves. But in reality, the Aryan invasion took place around somewhere between 1500 to 250 BC, and it would have followed the trajectory of the various paths that are illustrated in the map on the right-hand side. You can take a look at that for a couple of minutes. It shows the line of the Aryan invaders, and it shows how some of the kingdoms were merged, and it gives a few place names. So it's a very interesting map. Again, these slides are going to be found in my Patreon. So go to my Patreon. You can download the slides and get a very good introduction to all of this material. Joshi has dated some of the plain grayware back to 1300 BC in the Punjab. This suggests that the Indo-Aryan speakers probably entered India in two waves. See, again, as we've discussed over the past years that I've been doing this discussion, is that often archaeologists use the pottery that's discovered on various sites as a way, in a sense, to classify people into various ethnicities. And so they assume, in a sense, that we see this introduction of this painted grayware or plain grayware. We see this introduction of this particular style of pottery. And so, archaeologists infer that this painted grayware is an indication of the migration of the Indo-Aryans into India, because we see that the red and black pottery that was used by the Dravidians is replaced by this painted grayware. A peaceful infiltration wave between 1300 to 1000 BC and a wave of conquest after 1000 BC. This would explain the Vedic discussion of the Vedic people attacking walled cities inhabited by the Dasas, or Dravidian speakers. See, what it is that that's what Caucasians do. The usual mode of Caucasian conquering people is first they come to you in peace and they're your friend, and then once they begin to outnumber the local population, they usually proceed to commit genocide. In other words, kill off the population. That's what makes it so very interesting. Today we see what's going on in the Gaza Strip, and we feel sorry. We feel sorry for the Palestinians. See, because the Palestinians are now being in a sense killed off by the so-called Ashkenazi Jewish people. But you got to always remember that in Palestine, the Palestinians, they go back to, in a sense, the Philistines. And the Philistines were people of the sea. And the Philistines, they were deposited in that area by the Egyptians. And these Philistines were white people, the people of the sea. And okay, where are the Adites? The original people who lived there were the Adites, the Canaanites, and other black groups. They're gone now. So that means, in a sense, that just like today, we find the Ashkenazi Jews exterminating the Palestinians. The Palestinians, they exterminated the black people who were originally living in Gaza Strip. And so this is the traditional way that the European has spread. He spread by coming in first peaceful, they're nice, then you guys get along, and then as soon as they become the main population, they commit genocide and they destroy the colored population. Here on the Gangetic Plain, we see the emergence of PGW, painted grayware. The presence of PGW points to the probable first contact between the Dravidians and Indo-Aryans. Most Indo-Aryans entered India around 1000 to 800 BC. This would explain why almost all of the dependable painted grayware dates cluster around 800 to 350 BC. Most Indo-Aryans entered India around 1800 BC. This is explained why we find the most dependable radiocarbon dates for PGW. The appearance of the PGW document the beginning of the Indo-Aryan invasion. Okay, so if you want to find out more about how the original people that live in India today came from the Nile Valley. Get my book, Nile Valley History and the Veda. You can also check out my book, The World History of the Black Race. That'll tell you about all the black races and every black civilization on the planet Earth. And get my books, Black History Gem Essays, Volume 1, Volume 2. And in there you're going to find various essays in both volumes that relate to the various migrations of people from the Nile Valley into India and from India back to the Nile Valley. You know, you can order any of these books at Amazon.com. Again, go to my Patreon to see the slides. Remember that I post stuff on Twitter at Dr. Winters 8, and you're on my YouTube channel. Right now, why don't you press that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed, or even if you have subscribed, press it again. You know, because sometimes people tell me that they don't get notification of my lectures, so or my talks. And if you want to make sure that you get that, subscribe and ring that bell. And why don't you take the time right now and press that like button? Press that like button. That's good for the rhythm of people looking at the videos, and it'll help more people to see this video. Because when people try to search for videos about various black civilizations, because of the fact that you guys have subscribed to the site, you guys like the site, that'll make YouTube say, maybe other people may like the site too. Again, B1 is acknowledging your black African ancestry and Ma'at, not heritage. We must be race men and women, proud of our culture and African black ancestry. B1, we have to be B1. It's only by being B1 that we're going to be able, in a sense, to really understand who and what we are, you see. And that being B1 is the way of the future. I want to thank everybody for coming today. And if you have any questions, you know, I hope you'll, you can ask them now. Happy New Black Media Appreciation. DeJewel, thank you. DeJewel, thank you. Happy New Black Media Appreciation Month. Loving what you do best. Knowledge is power. You got that right. You know, and that's what it's all about. Sister Shanice, what did she say? Sister Shanice, what is it? Oh, Sister Shanice, family, I can highly recommend the Dr. Winters Research Course. I did the course and was so inspired. And I went on to write 3 books, published an academic paper, and now delivering training courses. Yeah, you know, what makes it so very interesting is that one of our papers is at Academia EDU, and they were doing research. Yes. Some researchers in England, they were doing research on many of the Pitish kings. And do you know what? Because of the fact that Sister Shanita had written such an inspiring paper, they were coming to her to ask her if she would want to join the team or at least participate in the research. And that was I was very glad to hear that, because see, Sister Shanice has written 3 books, and I'm trying to encourage her to write maybe another one, because she talks a lot about the various Swahili cities. I hope she'll write that book. But I'm going to tell you this, family. This is just between me and you. Listen, don't tell nobody else. You know, Sister Shanice, she's done such good research on the pits of England, that I know she's going to do a book on the Pitish people, because that research is so fantastic. No, just keep it between me and you. Don't tell nobody until the book comes out. How you doing, Chill Will 2050? Mach 9. What up, dude? You know, again, like I said, is that I hope you enjoyed the presentation. You know, I hope you enjoyed the presentation and understand, in a sense, is that, you know, we're here to be supportive. We're here to help each other. And I hope, in a sense, that you'll join me next week. And I might do something tomorrow, but definitely next Thursday, I'll be coming back with you same time. How you doing, Derek Fox? same time, same place, and we'll be talking about Black history. If you got any questions, I'll put it down now. CGI Kid said, all the braiding styles, so-called Caucasian, all the braiding styles the so-called Caucasian people wear in Europe today arose from the Black European used to live in Europe. Yes, But the thing is, this is that, they hide a lot of that history, But they can't hide it forever, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so happy that there's many researchers who've been in a sense doing research that's out there. Okay, why did the Black European engage in so many wars against each other? Well, it's why do Black people in Chicago shoot each other? Why is it that Black people in Africa sold each other as slaves? Why is it that Black Aboriginals sold each other as slaves to Caucasians? I'm going to tell you why. It's sad, but most of the time, in a sense, Black people, we're harder on each other, and we're more destructive with each other than we are with other people. And that's because the fact is that instead of being B1, that's one of the reasons I really love the fact that Professor Black created this whole idea of B1, Black first. Because see, the reason that the European was able to take over Africa, take over Asia, take over, in a sense, the Americas, take over North America, was because the fact, in a sense, is that those Aboriginal Black people, they were always busy fighting each other. That they allowed, in a sense, these other people, these foreigners, to come in, and they just ignored them. But when they would fight each other, they would sell their fellow Black people to the European, and then after the European became the most numerous, they would take away their land, take away their identity. See, and so we engaged in wars with each other because the fact is that we refuse, in a sense, to sometimes be more understanding of each other. We get mad at each other, and then we got to go and we got to shoot each other. Whereas that same somebody of another race can be around, and they can do the same thing, and you won't do nothing to them. Oh, you understand them? I don't know why, but that's the history. You see, that's why we had to have certain codes like the Mande Charter, which talked about that all human beings should work together, or Mande. The Egyptians created the Mande, that we should all work together, that we're all one people. And see, that's one of the reasons why, look, the Egyptian civilization, it lasted for what? 3,000, at least it lasted almost at least somewhere between 10 to 5,000 years. And they got along with each other because they recognized the fact is that we are one. In fact, the people of Egypt, they called themselves Kametru, the Black people. And they called their land Kemet, the Black land. See? So when I'm trying to get you, in a sense, to understand that we should refer to each other as being B1, that this is the only way that we can be progressive. This is the only way that we can have peace, is by recognizing that we're all B1. That doesn't mean, in the sense, that you hate the white man or that we want to kill off white people, because it's been shown throughout history that when we rule white people, we don't try to dominate, we don't try to destroy them. You see, when the Moors they ruled the Europeans. They ruled the Europeans from 711 AD to 1492. You see, but because of the religious wars, first the religious wars between the Christians and the Muslims, that led to the Moors being ran out of Iberia, and the Sephardic Jews, Black Jews, being ran out of there. But then we find, in a sense, that after the Black Europeans ran out the Black Moors and the Black Jews, then Then the Protestants started fighting the Black Catholics, and then the Black Catholics and the Black Protestants, over time, as they continued to just kill each other off, before you knew it, they had lost their land and their serfs. Yes, the Caucasians were their serfs, and their serfs began to dominate. Their serfs, in a sense, began to replace these black nobles, because the fact, in a sense, is that they refused to be respectful of each other. See, this whole idea, even today in the Americas, in North America, we're always so ready to follow some group. You know, I mean, if you go into the any black community, instead of seeing one big church, you're going to see maybe 2 or 3 storefront churches sometimes in the same neighborhood. You know, everybody got to be the leader of a congregation. See, it's that disunity thing. See, I mean, all these people, they say they believe in Jesus Christ, and yet, in a sense, they got to have a different church. You see. Then over here we find some brothers, in a sense, who say they believe in Islam, feasibility. They want to be in the service of God when they're full of ish, because a lot of times, in a sense, they may belong to different fiqhs. Maybe it might be Wahhabi, you know, or most people today are kind of what is it? They're basically, in a sense, Pakistani fiqhis. You know, they mainly follow a lot of Pakistani fiqhis, but since the Saudi Arabians spend a lot of money, now a lot of people are Wahhabis. So you see these Wahhabis fighting, you know, the other fiqhis. That means a religious school of thought. And so you find all this competition. When all of this can be solved, the disagreements between Catholics and Protestants, nobody likes the Jehovah's Witnesses because they come to the house every Saturday. But we can stop all that friction. We can stop all that fighting if people, in a sense, just said, aha, you got a right to believe what you believe. I believe what I believe. But you know what? Let's just unify the fact that we're B1, you know. We got to be B1. And the thing is this, is that to make this a new day, this new day can only be forged by us trying to understand that we had to live together. See, the European, forget about him. Forget about this whole idea of white supremacy. You know, if you grew up in Britain under that racism, if you grew up in America under the racism, you're not afraid. You're not afraid of that. Because out of all the things they did to hold you back, to hold me back, look at what we're doing today. Many of us are successful because we were ready to struggle. So it's not that the European can always hold you back. But what holds you back, in a sense, is this whole idea that we don't want to be supportive of each other. We don't want to, in a sense, give each other a break. Come on, don't be so hard on a brother. Don't be so hard on a sister. And it's so sad to say that it is so many brother fuckers. It is so many brother fuckers and sister fuckers too. And these are people, in a sense, who do everything they can to hold each other back. You know, in the Caribbean, in North America, what do we talk about? We talk about the crab in the barrels. I think it was Booker T. Washington talked about. We keep trying to pull each other back. Let's push each other up. C.A.I.D., this is interesting. He said, I found out something very interesting about the Catholic Church. It was founded by the Black Europeans. Of course it was, because remember, in a sense, is that those Christians that ran the Moors out of Europe, they were Black. Crazy, isn't it? You know what I found very interesting in studying the history of the Moors, especially the history of the Moors outside of Iberia, but the Moors in Germany, the Moors in Norway or the Danes, the Moors in Ireland, and the Moors in Britain. What I found, in a sense, is that they didn't go around trying to proselytize. They didn't go around trying to get other people, in a sense, to join the Muslim religion. I found that very interesting. You know, I found that it was only looked like in Iberia where there was a push to really encourage people, in a sense, to adopt Islam. But we do see that there were still these Muslim dynasties It was still these Muslim, Black European Moors or Muslims, but they didn't go around proselytizing. And I think that was basically because of the fact that there's so many people in Europe at that time, they were Black and they belonged to the Catholic Church. But what I find interesting is that much of the friction and much of the divorce that people give to a religion is basically is based upon the fact that after a while, the people who belong to a certain religion, they failed to help other members of that religion, because if you remember Catholicism was able to spread because there were many people in countries around the world that were living on the margins. There were many people in the sense that really didn't have that much, and they were ready in the sense to join the Catholic Church. They were ready in the sense to follow the European, and they helped the Europeans to conquer their homeland, and that is it, And then Nadi says, the Catholic Church was founded by Rome. It was founded in a sense by Black people who just lived in the area. Because you remember, in a sense, it evolved into two different churches. You had the Eastern Church that was at Constantinople, and then in a sense you had the Roman Church. Oh, look at this fact. Remember, just a few weeks ago, it was a big thing about when Putin over in Russia showed how many of their saints and many of the Marys that they worship was of a Black Jesus and a black Christ. So we see in a sense this early division, but we see that just about not only in the Roman Christian area and in the Eastern area, there was still worship in a sense or recognition of Mary as being Black, Jesus as being Black, and so forth and so on. See, but it's this history, but it's what do you do? But see, the problem with people is that I don't identify with any religion. If you ask me what my religion is, I would tell you my religion is a believer in God. And the reason that I'm a believer in God simply is because of the fact that whenever you identify yourself as belonging in a sense to any particular religion, something is going to come up. Somebody's going to say, well, I don't like you. Why you don't like me? Aren't I nice? Why you don't like me? Aren't I kind? Why you don't like me? Don't I try to share? But that doesn't matter if you're kind. It doesn't matter if you share. Because of the fact that you belong to a different religion, it's just problems. I mean, growing up in America, I was Baptist. We were Baptists, and because my background was Baptist, but then my grandmother, the light-skinned mulatto people, they were all Catholic. So we had this dichotomy, We had the Catholics on one side and the Baptists on the other. But I don't know why. Maybe it may go back to the Black European heritage that would be on my side, because my mom and them, they say we were mainly Choctaw. That it was Choctaw on her side of the family, but on the Winter side of the family, a lot of mulattoes and stuff. I mean, hey, well, they always said that my father, he kind of brought down the Winters because he married somebody dark. But hey, what can you do? But I'm lucky. We grew up in America, and in America they say, don't tell nobody. But in America they say, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. Baby! So, hey. So when I got darker, it was going on, baby. But again, in a sense, it's time that we just stop all that stuff, stop all that division. The one thing that I really loved, about really accepting the reality that when I really started to find out that it was 300,000, that it was 300,000 Black Europeans brought over here, Black Irish brought over here. C.G.I.K.I.D. said Putin knows his ancestors were Black, Ain't that a bitch? Yeah, it is a bitch, but he knows it because he when you study it. And Nadi, yes, on it is hilarious. But the point is this, though, is that's why you had to study history. When I found out about the black Europeans who were made chattel slaves, and the black Irish who made chattel slaves, it just changed my whole understanding of history. We always talk about who is it, Thomas Jefferson. I get them mixed up. It's either Thomas Jefferson or was raping the Hemings girl. It's either Thomas Jefferson or Washington. I think it's Thomas Jefferson. So then when you hear about this, we were always taught that we got our names in a sense from our slave masters, you see. I should have known right away that was a lie, because the fact is that they didn't respect us enough to want us to be named after them, you see. And then when you got Thomas, I think it was Thomas Jefferson who was raping the Hemings girl. How did she get the name Heming? How was she named Heming when everybody on the plantation owned by the Jeffersons or the Washington family, whichever family it was? Somebody in the chat, you can correct me. Whatever family it was, why didn't she have the same name as the person who was on the plantation? Thank you, Nadi. Nadi says it was Jefferson. So then why wasn't she named Jefferson too? That's because we already had our names. You see, that's why when we look at the Dawes list, and when the Dawes list lists all the Indians that belong to the 5 civilized tribes of Cherokee, you see McCoy, McDonald, Winters, Watkins, and that's because the fact is that we already had our names. Many of us knew who our names was. And then as we ran away from the plantation, as we escaped the plantation and went back to our Aboriginal villages, then some of the people in the village started, in a sense, who we intermarried with, they started taking on our names. You see, we have a history. Our names did not come from our masters. Just because you're light-skinned today, just because you're red-boned today, that doesn't mean in a sense that your grandma was raped by the slave master. Because there's already light-skinned black people over here. even the so-called Aboriginals. Some were super dark, some were super light. The black Europeans, the black Irish, some were super dark, some were super light. We got to move away from all this bullshit history we've been taught. See, I'm really surprised. My hero is W.E.B. Du Bois, because W.E.B. Du Bois was a pluridisciplinarian. If it dealt with social science, history, sociology, he did it all. But I'm amazed. I'm amazed that it was not until today that we can understand our agency in our own experiences, our agencies in our own life. See, and that's just the way it is, And Natty says, excuse me, the one where he calls most European people swarthy. I did, and that was Thomas Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin in 1851, he wrote a thesis, and in the thesis he made it very clear. He made it very clear in a sense that the Europeans, most of them were not white, most of them were swarthy or tawny. Sister Shanice, she says, the talk. Not only did they steal our land, but they took our identity, our history, our culture, and our names. Yes, they took it. They owe us. It is so sad. I'm so proud of Sister Shanice and other Baradinaks. Baradinak was the name that the Romans called the original people that lived in the British Isles. The Black Irish and the Black Britons. And it is so wonderful today, in a sense, that we know that Sister Shanice's ancestry, her people lived in the Caribbean, then they went back home. Yes, they went back home. When her parents moved from the Caribbean to Britain, they were going home. They wasn't going to no new land. They wasn't immigrants. They weren't immigrants. That was their land. You know, we first noticed it when people was doing research on the people in Jamaica. And they said, damn, you know, here we go back to this lie. Everybody got the name from their masters. But then the researchers said, well, how do some of these Jamaicans have names like Daly, Kennedy? They didn't own no slaves in Jamaica. See? They got those names because those are Black Irish who were made chattel slaves. But we didn't know that because we didn't do the original research. See, that's one of the reasons why I teach my research class. I teach my research class to encourage people to understand how to do the research, how to find out our history, you see. You know, but we've been conditioned that everything is either black or white, when in a way, some of it is gray. Some of it is gray. For example, Dorvell, we had a little debate earlier in the week when he had presented me with some new evidence that the word Ethiop, that means fiery and that we interpret as burnt face, really also means shining. Not only ethnically shining, but intellectually shining, that they have very bright people. And then when you think about it, isn't the fire bright? At night, when it's dark and you light a fire, doesn't it give light? Give you knowledge, understanding, see? And so then the Ethiopians, they were not just in a sense the black face, they were also the shining people. And not just in a sense shining because they were in a sense black, but intellectually shining. See, but again, we need researchers. We need researchers like Dorvell. We need researchers like Sister Shanice. We need researchers like JP. We need researchers who are doing the research, who are in a sense looking at the original primary evidence and presenting to the world the truth of our history, instead of accepting everything that somebody tells us, you know. Natty, I don't know about this, but Natty said, people don't talk about the rest of Franklin X-Ray, where he talks about beings looking down from Mars or something. Yeah, he did say if people from Mars was looking down. I do not know. I do know this. I do know that the Egyptians had spaceships. I did a video. You can look through my video set. I know that Ramses the First did have rocket ships, and that the Egyptians did land on the moon. I can say that. But I do know this, that they've had pictures that come from Mars, and they found his images that come from Mars. They found a face, a pyramid on Mars. Then they erased it from the video. Then they found some black people in the mountains or something. Some of the pictures from Mars are really weird. So there could be some people on Mars. I cannot verify that there are people on Mars. But all I can say is that there's some evidence that may suggest that there are people on Mars. But I do know for a fact that the Egyptians had rockets, they had airplanes, they had helicopters, and that they visited the moon. I can say that that's true, you see. And then we have the inscriptions that point to this. And I did a video on that. But see, again, it's so much of our knowledge that the European will teach you this, the European will teach you that. And one of the things that they do is that they try to hide a lot of stuff from us, you know. They don't want you to know what's going on. Gerard, he says, he says, these Aryans and youths are playing games with our story. Part chess, part hide and seek, more and more are starting to wake up to the truth. That's true. But see, the point is that they can do this. They can play hide and seek with our history because they're the ones who write it. They're the ones who write it, you know. How you doing, Great Blackness and Lydia Tillman and also Gerard? They write the history. Remember, they're the ones who control the textbooks. They're the ones who are teaching at the universities. And look at all these people. I mean, I belong to Narrative. It's a group that was formed by Sister Hunter and Greg Carr of Howard University. It's a very good group. They teach meta-nature. If you join Narrative, they teach meta-nature. And the beauty is that it is so many people today that know meta-nature that we should be doing our own original research on Egyptian history, Egyptian sociology, Egyptian cosmology. It's too many people that know the Egyptian language, but they're not doing anything with it. We forget that those greatest people who wrote on Egyptian history, most of them in the 19th century, they didn't go to university to learn Egyptology. They just learned meta-nature, and then they started doing the research themselves. You can do the same thing. And that's why I teach this research class. I teach this research class so that you can have the confidence and ability to interpret it. What is it? You guys forget. Let me explain to you. Look at this. The only difference between you and somebody with a PhD is that they went to a college and they paid maybe almost $100,000 and then they wrote a paper. That's it. That's why some people, they go to university and they become what's called ABD. That's all but a dissertation. The thing that makes you, that allows you to be a PhD is that you become a PhD because you did what? You wrote a dissertation. Yes, you wrote a dissertation, or you wrote an article, you wrote a study. But isn't that what researchers do? That's why I teach my research class. I hope that some of you will join my research class.
Afrocentric Research Course.
You will learn how to interpret anthropological, historical, legal, genetic, and other forms of research literature. This is 30 hours of learning how to do qualitative and quantitative research methods. The course begins on April 16th. The class will be taught every Tuesday for 15 weeks. Join Dr. Winters' research class. Afrocentric Research Course. Become a researcher.
Again, thank you guys for showing up. We've been here an hour, so we're going to kind of end it. Thank you, family. See you next Thursday. I may do something tomorrow. I don't know. But definitely I'll see you next Thursday. And remember, if you don't want to do the research, support the ones who do.
If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Empire stay bright on your fears and stay away. Vampire, stay bright on your fears. Control your atmosphere.